Point has a lot of different things. But first, 12 plus 3 minus 4 plus 5 plus 67 plus 8 plus 9.
Pardon, teachers. Could you please release all students that are taking the ASVAB test to the ROTC room? Please release all the students that are taking the ASVAB test to the ROTC room. Thank you.
12 plus 3 minus 4 plus 5 plus 67 plus 8 plus 9 equals 100. Facts. And there exists at least one other representation of 100 with 9 digits in the right order and math operations between them. Pretty cool, huh? It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then there's math in there, and it equals 100. So today we're going to be tackling 4 different things. All right? The first thing we're going to tackle is just the point between two numbers. Okay, let's try it. What's between 3 and 5? Oh, wow, well done. If you have a ringer on, turn it off, please. Then we'll talk about the point between 2 points. Like, what is the midpoint between 0, 0 and 8, 8? 4, 4. So that's a little more complicated, but not impossible. Then I'll give you a midpoint and give you an endpoint and ask you to find the other endpoint, which is probably the toughest one to do. If I hear it again, I'm probably going to break it. Or I'm going to collect it from you and maybe drop it on the way up to my desk when I hold it for you. And then fractional midpoints, like given 2 points, what is like 1/3 of the way between those 2 points? That is the hardest version of that. So again, there's 4 topics here. You will definitely be tested over 1, 2, 3 things on your 15 question test. So that's like 1/5 of your test. These 3 things will be on your test. All right? Here we go. So the first one, the easy one. What is the value of the point between 2 and 10? 6. Question mark? How do you do that? This is in your notes, right? How do you do that? I know you're right, but how did you get there?
Take 2 and count up from there, and then you take 10 and you count back.
Okay, so there is 1 life you could live. 2.
Are you there?
10. It's the day of interruptions.
Are you there?
Hello, Coach Baker's class of mathematics. I do. Okay, thank you. Keegan, bye. You're going home. Made it 6 minutes. Okay, so between the point 2 and 10, you can say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, what's half of 8? 4. So you can do 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to double check, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the point in the middle, and that's the point 3, 4, 5, 6. Nailed it. It's a lot of work there, right? Is everybody going to draw a number line every time? So there is another way. You could say 2 plus 10 divided by 2. And 2 plus 10 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So there's the number line way, and there's the straight up math way. Add them together and divide by 2. That's called the average of the 2 points. You pick your life, how you want to live. This will work every time, all the time. The only time it will not work is if you math wrong. So what is the midpoint between 4, or the point between 4 and 20? 12. 4 plus 20 divided by 2. 24 divided by 2. 12 is the point in the middle. 3 and 5. 4. 4 and 7.
No.
No, it's going to be a decimal.
So it's not such a nice number anymore, is it? So halfway between 3 and 5 is 4. This one's not so nice. 4 plus 7 divided by 2. 4 plus 7 is 11 divided by 2. 11 divided by 2 is 5.5. So 5.5 is exactly in the middle. Too easy to test, right? That would be like too many free points on a test. Where, yeah, it's not about that life. You gotta earn it. So that's chunk 1. Here's the second chunk. Phase 2. The midpoint formula. Does that look familiar, like we have been doing that? Hey, we're adding two numbers together and dividing it by 2. Well, now that we have a coordinate location, we have two x values and we have two y values. So we have to add the x's together and divide it by 2. We have to add the y's together and divide it by 2. That's how we're going to do it. Cool, let's try it. What is the midpoint between, or what is the midpoint of line segment AB? So we have 2 points. We have point A and we have point B. And we're trying to find the point exactly in the middle of those 2 points. So what is your x values? 3 and 9. So 3 plus 9 divided by 2. What are your y values? 7 plus 5 divided by 2. This is a coordinate location, so it must be written as a coordinate, parentheses, math, comma, math, parentheses. Okay? Math within your parentheses. I like to math across the top first. 3 plus 9, 12. 7 plus 5, 12. Nice. Again, math within your parentheses. What is 12 divided by 2? 6. What is 12 divided by 2? Hopefully it's 6. So the midpoint of AB is the coordinate location 6, 6. And you see a graph there too, right? Right next to that. So you can do this arithmetically by hand with mathematical operations, or you can do it on a graph. Okay? The hard part about doing it on a graph, number one, your graphs are microscopic, right? Or little bitty graphs. It's okay. Here's the point of this. The hard part about graphing is you have to graph the point correctly. Is anybody scared about graphing points wrong? I am. I'm terrified of that. Okay? So you graph the point 3, 7. Here's one point, A. The graph the point 9, 5. 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is my job to find the midpoint between those 2 points. Why would I show you this way? It's the counting way. You just count to the midpoint. Here's how you count. You count down. 1, 2. It's 2 down. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops. Let me do that right there. Down 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over 6. What's half of 2? 1. So I'm going to count down 1. What's half of 6? 1, 2, 3. So I count. My midpoint is right there. So you have identified where the midpoint is. Now you have to identify its coordinate location. It is at the point 6, 6. The same way. So counting might be math easier, but it might be plotting more complicated. Now I ask you the question that you've seen both methods. Would you like to use the mathematical way or the graphing the county way? Okay, we'll continue to do both. Please find the midpoint of x, y. What are your x values? 2 and 7. 2 and 7. Divide those by 2. Comma. Your y values. 6 and 0, divide those by 2. It's a coordinate location. Uh-oh, I'm going to get an odd number. 2 plus 7. 9 is an odd number. Odd in the mathematical sense. 6 plus 0. Oh, well done. Okay. 9 divided by 2. Well done. 4.5. 6 divided by 2. 3. The midpoint of line segment XY is 4.5, 3. In this instance, the math way is significantly more understandable. Because when you do this on a graph, and you have the point over 2 up 6, and the point over 7 up 0, you try to establish the midpoints of those on a graph. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's half of 6? 3. 1, 2, 3. What's half of 5? 2.5. So now you get this, like, what's the midpoint? What's the midpoint right here? Can you, like, tell me what that is? You know it is because you mathed it. You know it's 4.5, 3, but it's not as easy to see on a graph, is it? So this is where the graphing part isn't so great. You get, like, decimal numbers. Just remind you, OMG. After 10 years of doing this, the first day of every lesson, this is easy, right? How many of you guys feel like this is easy right now? Okay? And then 15 days later, when you guys take the test, you find some way to be creative and not do what you're asking to do. So even in 10 years later, after spending 10 years in the high school setting, you guys always struggle with this one. So this is the year that it's going to change, hopefully. You guys have a hard time understanding this concept. Okay, it says how to find the other endpoint. What do you think when I say that to you in English words? Find the other endpoint. Generally, that's what happens. Blankness. So, think about what we're learning today. Today, we're finding the midpoint. So, to find a midpoint, you must have 2 endpoints, right? An endpoint. And now I'm going to give you a midpoint. So, you have one endpoint, and I give you the midpoint. It's your job to find the other endpoint. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah? 2 ways to do it. The math way or the easy way? Question mark. What's the easy way? Math is not easy. The counting way. And guess what I'm going to do on the test? I'm going to give you a graph on the test, so if you choose to count, you have the ability to count. So that's why I'm going to show you both ways, right? Option number 1, the math way. Everybody's favorite way. M is the midpoint of TL. T is 6, 0, and M is 0, 2. So, goes back to Chapter 1, Section 1, Concept 1. You have a line segment, TL.
Teachers, pardon the interruption. If any of the students are not in the testing room in the next 5 minutes, they are going to start the testing. all the students that are taking the ASVAB test, please go to the ROTC room. Thank you.
M is the midpoint of line segment TL. We have line segment TL, and M is the midpoint. Right now, you know T is at 6, 0. You know M is at 0, 2. It is your job to find the coordinate location of point L. Does the concept make sense right now, what you're trying to do? So the math way. You use the midpoint formula. But we're going to do it a different way. So in the midpoint formula, this chunk is for x's, this chunk is for y's. So in the midpoint formula, I have an x coordinate. 6 plus some other endpoint divided by 2 equals the x value of my midpoint. Does that kind of make sense? Right? The endpoint of my first x coordinate, the x coordinate of my other endpoint, if I divide that by 2, it should equal the x coordinate of my midpoint. So I have to math that. How do you solve for x when there's the f word involved? You have to get rid of the denominator, and these steps will never change. Get rid of the denominator. Step 1, multiply by 2. The purpose of step 1 is that those 2's eliminate each other. 6 plus x equals 0 times 2? 0. Step 2, subtract the number or get rid of the number next to the x. So it says 6 plus x. What's the opposite of positive 6? Minus 6. Minus 6. So x equals negative 6. The x value of my other endpoint is negative 6. I must do the same thing for the y values. I have the y value of my endpoint. 0 plus. The other y value. So I'm going to put y right here. So first endpoint, second endpoint divided by 2 equals the value of my midpoint, 2. Stick with it. Same 2 steps. Multiply both sides by 2. Two times 2 is 4. Do I have to do anything with this 0? No. So what does y equal? That means the value of my other endpoint is negative 6, comma 4. And you must write that in parentheses. Negative 6, 4 is my other endpoint. Okay, I guarantee you that no one has a solid grasp on that concept right now, right? You're like, what the hell just happened? Right? So, option 2. How did I get from 6 to 0? Minus 6. So, what is 0 minus 6?
6.
Negative 6. So, I do minus 6 and then minus 6 again to keep it equidistant. How did I get from 0 to 2? Plus 2. So do it again. What's 2 plus 2? Okay, now do you have a little more confidence with that? Oh wow, why didn't you show us that first? Crazy, right? Still a little weird though. Still weird, right? Still kind of weird. I don't know, anybody? So I offer you a different way, the way you will see it on your test. I give it to you on a graph. Okay, it says T is at 6, 0, over 6, up 0. Here's where T is. M is 0, 2 right here. So I have half of a line. My other piece should be somewhere over there, right? Because it goes from T to M and beyond to get to TL. So if I count up 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I went up 2 over 6. I will repeat the same exact steps. Up 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where L is. So you can count it. If you go from your endpoint to your midpoint up 2 over 6, you can do the same thing up 2 over 6. Where is that point? It's at negative 6, 4. And you can count it that way. That's how you find your other endpoint. So you have 3 different ways, right? You can do it the math way, you can do it the number line way, or you can do it the counting way. Which way do you like the best? The graph way? Graph way you'll be tested on. I think we have one more. Hopefully we have one more of those. M is the midpoint of TL. T is negative 6, 3. Sorry, negative 3, 6, and M is the point negative 1, 4. Find the other endpoint. How do y'all want to do this? The mathy math way, number line way, or the graphy graph way? The graphy graph way? I want to hear it. The graph graph way. So, let's go to the graphy graph way. You have graphs? Yep, here we go. T is at negative 3, 6. M is at negative 1. It is my job to find the other endpoint. Do you think it's going to be up here or down here? It's going to be somewhere down here. I need point TL. So to do it the graphy graph way, I must count to my midpoint, then count beyond my midpoint. So I count down 2 over 2. What must I do to go beyond my midpoint? Down 2 over 2. This is the location of L, my other endpoint. You must identify that location to get the correct answer. What is the location of L? 1, 2. Okay, that is the graphy graph way. On the number line way, which is also equally, hopefully understandable, you have a line segment TL with a midpoint in the middle. T is at negative 3, 6. L is at negative 1, 4. How do I get from here? Oops, sorry. Baker made a mistake. M is at negative 1, 4. How did I get from here to here? Plus 2. So I must do the same thing. Negative 1 plus 2, positive 1. How did I get from here to here? So I must do the same thing. What's 4 minus 2? So it gives me the point 1, 2 as my other endpoint. That make more sense? I think the number line way is great. I don't think anyone's going to do the math way in here, so I'm not going to teach it anymore. It's called listening to your audience. All right, the last one. Not exactly midpoints. You ready? It's okay. The endpoints of J, the endpoints are J, 0, 0, and K, 8, 16. What are the coordinates of the following points on JK? I want to find point W, which is 1/4 of the D word distance from J to K. 1/4 of the way. So, allow me to use the same representation I was using earlier. You have a line segment. J, K. J is at 0, 0. K is at 8, 16. I want to find a point 1/4 of the way from J to K. So I want to go from J to K, left to right. I want to find 1/4 of the total distance. Well, how far is it from 0 to 8? 8. So I want to do 8 times 1/4. Does anyone know how to do that? Is it 2? 8 times 1/4 has been established as 2. So I want to go from here plus 2. What's 0 plus 2? 2. Okay, I want to go the same 1/4 from 8 to 16. What is the distance between 8 and 16? I'm sorry, 0 and 16. 16. So I want to do 16 times 1/4. 4. What is 0 plus 4? So what is the coordinate location of the point 1/4 of the way from J to K? The location of W is 2, 4. That is 1/4 of the way from J to K. I have my X value on top and my Y value on the bottom. That's not that bad, right? More F words, more fractions in there. It's okay. Multiply in your calculator, or I'll show you more explicitly in the next step. Okay, we have the same line segment. J is at 0, 0. K is at 8, 16. I want to find the point W, which is 3/4 of the way from J to K. So I have JK. J is at 0, 0. K is at 8, 16. I want to find something 3/4 or 3/4 of the way from J to K. So we established the distance from J to K and the X value as 8. What do I multiply that by? By 3/4. So it's 8 over 1 times 3 over 4. Multiply across the top. What's 8 times 3? 24. 1 times 4? And then simplify the fraction. 24 divided by 4. So I want to go 6 in the X direction. So this way plus 6. What is 0 plus 6? 6 right here. Alright, I want to do the same thing for J. You guys said that from J to K was 16. And I want to multiply that by 3/4 of the way, a 3/4 point. So 16 times 3? 48. 1 times 4? And 48 divided by 4 is 12. So I want to go 12 in the Y direction. What's 0 plus 12? So what is the coordinate location of W, which is 3/4 of the way from J to K? J or W is at 6, 12, which is 3/4 of the way. Nice, right? We're doing it. Oh, 1/8. Let's see if we can shorten the process a little bit. So from 0 to 8 is 8. What is 1/8 of 8? 1. From 0 to K is 16. What is 1/8 of 16? What, if W is 1/8 of the way from J to K, what is the coordinate location of W? W is at 1, 2. Man. Okay, so I'm going to give you a lot of book work for homework. 5 questions. That's it, just 5. So under your desk, there's this thing called a textbook. Okay, in that textbook, you would open it and you would search for this page number. Okay, that is page 196.